from Somerville.
Greetings from Somerville. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I am your host, Michael Somerville, and we're going to kick off today with a listener question, which is, how did you get into comedy? And that is a question you do get a lot in this business. How did you get started? Did you always want to do it? Were you always funny? A lot of versions of it. And I will tell you my journey from the time actually I was a little kid. My parents would put me to sleep, and when I was, put me into bed, not put me to sleep, they'd put me into bed, and they would go downstairs and watch Johnny Carson, and I would sneak down the stairs and watch Carson's opening monologue, and I was just always fascinated with the fact that this guy was on TV. I didn't know where he was in the world. I didn't even know if he was on planet Earth, but this person was on television telling jokes and making the whole room laugh, and I do remember, as young as I was, being fascinated by that. And my parents would later tell me they knew. They could hear me creaking down the stairs. I did it every night. I thought I was being so secretive, and but it turned out they knew I was there. But I was just a night owl, and I was always up late. Even as a little kid, my mom nicknamed me Starshine because I would just stay up late at night and then sleep in the day. So I think I was wired for the comedy life from a very young age. But from there, I always liked comedy. My first album was Rodney Dangerfield's No Respect. When I was a teenager, there was a TV show on our local suburban cable vision in New Jersey. TV3 did the Rascals Comedy Hour, which was recorded at the Rascals, which is the comedy club in West Orange, New Jersey. And my buddy Mark and I used to stay up on Friday nights and watch that, just fascinated by all these comedians, Bobby Collins and Mike Egan and all these guys just on a stage making people laugh. And all that said, I never once considered doing it for a living. Thought I was a student. I was going to work hard, go to school, and get a good job, and I did that. I worked hard through high school and college. But when I was in college, we had a professional comedian coming to the campus, and they wanted a student to open. They put an ad in the student newspaper. Hey, are you funny? Why don't you open for this professional coming to campus? And all my friends were going, "You're funny. You should do it." So I that was my first show ever. It was as a freshman in college. I wrote a bunch of jokes about cafeteria food and living in a dorm. And about 8 minutes, and I did great. But of course, it was all my friends there supporting me and laughing. And so that was my first show as a freshman in college. And then throughout college, I sort of became the go-to guy whenever there was something to host or someone needed to jump up and introduce something, do a pep rally. But all that said, I graduated, got a job in advertising in New York City, said, okay, time to settle down and get serious here. And I hated getting up in the morning. I didn't like sitting in a cubicle. I didn't want to shave every day. I'm not a morning person in general. And I started checking out the open mics, and one thing led to another. And next thing you know, I was saying, you know what, I'm pretty funny. Audiences are laughing, and while I'm still young with zero responsibilities, not married, no kids, why don't you give this thing a try? And my first job was dancing in a pink bear outfit at a Christmas party, and I never looked back. And I couldn't have, actually, in that pink bear outfit because you couldn't see. But my guest today had a very different journey than I did, and it took a certainly unique turn. And that's I thought would be a lot of fun to talk to him about it. So let's get to it. Hey, yes indeed. Hello, everybody. Sitting here with Arvin Mitchell. Comedian Arvin Mitchell. Say hello.
Hello, everyone that's listening. Thank you for being a part of this.
It might just be my parents. I'm not sure.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. New adopted son.
Arvin and I think they would trade me in right now if they could. Arvin and I are working together, and we're having a great time working together this week. We're laughing a lot. He's a super funny comedian based in L.A. now, right?
Yeah, originally from St. Louis.
St. Louis, and now L.A. based. Were you born and raised in St. Louis?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. And when did you move out to Los Angeles?
I moved to Los Angeles in 2007.
Okay.
And I was a road comic at the time, and I moved out there to be more present in Los Angeles.
Right.
And that didn't work out because I got more road work.
Well, that's always the trick as a comedian. If you're not in New York or L.A., you start to feel like at some point you should move to one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you choose L.A. over New York?
Man, I went out there for an audition and went to see the Freaks at Venice Beach and fell in love. I said, these are my people. Found my tribe.
I am home.
Dude, it was beautiful. I mean, you got mimes and prostitutes. It was amazing. I was like, I'm home.
This is-
Yeah, man. Have you ever been? You been to the beach?
I have been, yes.
Oh my God, Venice Beach. They got old school cars. You got all kind of just freaks running around and weirdos, and that's what I am. So I fit right in.
I want to come to one of your family reunions, man. This is the mimes and the prostitutes.
Hey man, look, it goes down. Just bring your money.
No, and it is one of the great ironies, though. You go as a comedian. I mean, a lot of us have to go on the road to make money, regardless of where you live. You got to leave on the weekends to go make your money. And so so you move to LA, and then all of a sudden, all right, they got to pick up and go places.
More road work.
Yeah.
I moved to LA to get to Wisconsin. So I'm going to Minnesota, Milwaukee. I'm on all these places in the Midwest. But I moved to L.A.
I was right.
So,
I was right there when I was in St. Louis.
Yep, I was right up the road, few hours drive.
And there are some comedians who, especially some of the bigger names, who have said, never mind, they moved to a place they like. Not New York or L.A. I know comics in Denver, comics that have just they found a nice town or city they like.
I recently just heard from a female comic. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but she's living in Denver and said they have the dopest comedy scene.
Is that right?
Yeah. The comedy clubs. The level of comedy that's that we're at right now, where everybody's trying to be more liberal, is like, there are more venues for us.
Absolutely.
But you gotta just to stay working in them that's the magic key.
Right.
To get the audience to come out to really want to hear some real stuff.
Right.
And it's hard to do that a lot of times when you have to fluctuate between a family show and an adult show.
Absolutely. So. And a traditional comedy club, which is known for being, all right, there's certain parameters, whether you like it or not. There's certain kind of, traditions in a comedy club where you go to see a show and the average businessman off the street could walk in. But you're right, when you get some of these alternative spaces, some of these other rooms, which like, a little more anything goes. And there's more of a license to go, push the envelope, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's starting to become various envelopes that can be pushed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody has an agenda. And our agenda is to be funny. But some comics' agenda is to be offensive and funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I just like to be me. I like to not have parameters put on me to where people are going, well, you can't go that far.
Right.
But if it's exactly how I feel, why can't I?
Right.
And I'm not trying to be like the Hitler of comedy or anything. You know what I mean? But I think we should be able to be
funny.
Yeah. So you gotta be able to stomach it.
No, but I think that's admirable. We were talking about that the other night at dinner. Like the fine line when you start out doing comedy, you just want to be funny. You want the audience to like you. You want to get laughs and get invited back and get booked. And then you get to a point where you say, okay, maybe I'm not the clown anymore. Maybe I want to say some things. I actually have something I want to say.
Yeah.
And then it's their job. We were talking about guys like Bill Burr and stuff. All of a sudden, it's not they're expressing themselves, and the audience is coming along as opposed to you trying to. And that's something I struggle with. I'm always teetering on. I feel like I'm still trying to please them.
I just don't see how you struggle with that. Watching your comedy, I think I'm not trying to figure your formula out or anything, but no, seriously, because you're such a great writer. When
thanks.
you tell your jokes, you're welcome. When you tell your jokes, they're facts. You just said something. I read this the other day, and then there's the joke, and I love it because there's no arguing that this is some good information, and this is my spin on it.
Show?
It is like it's informative, and you gonna walk away with a laugh. But it's so, and I'm not saying this to dumb down your comedy or anything, but it's just so basic and funny. No, seriously.
Oh, I've been called much worse. That's
no,
fine.
And don't take it as an insult. It's like you're not contriving jokes in a dumbass way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just you're funny and that's that. Right. It's like your humor is so refreshing. I'm sitting there watching you going, you're not missing a beat, dude. Like I'm seriously amused. I'm kicking back going, I'm enjoying myself watching this dude. Where some comics you sit through and you go, I like that one.
Right.
Not this one. You know what I mean? But you were so consistent and I'm going, damn, that's what I love about working with other comics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially in a space like we're in.
Absolutely.
You just go, damn, I'm really enjoying this. I'm not just coming here because I have to be in this space for work.
Right.
I'm really enjoying this.
It is
and that's
refreshing.
it is.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard a lot of people say about your shows. Like, I'm going to see him.
Right.
Like, no matter how you felt about the first show,
right.
There was still that whole thing where the people are going, man, when is he playing again?
well.
Because they don't know what we know.
Right.
You know, because the guy that's introducing you doesn't have a clue, and he dropped the ball, but you go up there and make it look like magic.
Well, I don't know what I know either, that's for sure, but I appreciate it. But no, I certainly can relate to the, it's nice to see, well, you see someone who makes you laugh, you enjoy watching, and you're the same way, you're fun to watch, and you go, okay, well, this is fun, because God knows we've all come across, comics that you're like, oh, God, let me...
You should do a whole show about that. Comics that don't know they suck. And how are you still working?
Well, I respect anyone who's doing what we do. There are some guys I think they're doing better than others, but anyone gets on a stage, I always give props to. But speaking of let's talk about your journey. How did you start? When did you first like comedy? Where did you begin?
Man, I began in school. I mean, even before school. When I was a kid, I just liked making people laugh.
Yeah.
I was the class clown, but that wasn't the goal.
Right.
I was silly at home, and going to school is a social atmosphere, and it just took it to another level. And I never knew you could do it as a job, but once I started hearing comedy, I mean, this is like, it's not an epic story probably to you, but when I remember my mom and dad arguing one day, and he was calling her some pretty bad names, and she was doing the same. I think she hit him with a couple of kitchen utensils and whatnot. Yeah, it was bad, man. And it was just so, the energy in the house was so negative. I was scared to come home from school the next day, and I was just anticipating, the anger and the energy all over again. And I walked in the house. They were sitting on the couch laughing at Richard Pryor. Yeah, and they switched it out. They switched out that Richard Pryor and put in Eddie Murphy. And they were laughing together.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. After what I saw the day before.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, that's what I want to do. But I didn't know you could do it professionally. I didn't know how to go about doing it professionally. So I'm in school, years go by, and when I became an adult, my sister just kept telling me, you should do comedy. You should do comedy. My sister Adrian. And I didn't know how to get into it. But when people at work started saying, I should do comedy, and this was after, like I was telling you the other day, I went to school for law enforcement, and I went away and I did time, because I got charged with assault on a law enforcement officer, and they tried to sentence me to 25 years. I ended up doing 3 years on a 5-year sentence, and I was so glad I got it down to that. But I was telling jokes in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to keep people from bothering me or anything. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I made the most of the time. And when I would call home on Wednesdays, my sister would go to comedy clubs on Tuesdays, and she would tell me the show was fantastic, but I was funnier than everybody there except for the host, which was Lavelle Crawford at the time.
Oh, yeah, Lavelle.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Okay.
So when I came home, I finally got on stage, man, and rocked it, and like they say, the rest is history. It really worked out.
Now let's back up a little, because you kind of glossed over kind of a major life event there. If you don't mind talking about it, there's not a lot of journeys that involve, and then I went to prison.
Right.
So you were how old at the time?
At the time I had just turned 19.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, man, I had just graduated from high school. I graduated from high school and went straight to the penitentiary. Like, it was on the journey. Like it was a rites of passage. Let me get this pen out the way.
Military service for 2 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I graduated from high school. Like I said, I took up law enforcement. I was studying to be a cop. You were studying law enforcement. Yes. Studying
to be a cop.
Yep. But I really didn't want to be a cop. I just did it because my best friend was doing it, and it was. I said if I was going to be around somebody positive. My friend Robert, he's a cop now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he committed, man. He actually is a K-9 cop.
Wow.
And I did that 3 years in there. I kept in touch with my family. It was the scariest thing I ever experienced.
I can't imagine. I would
man.
think,
I mean,
when you go in for that first day, you're in with real criminals.
Yeah, you in there with killers, actual killers.
People who kill.
And man, the things I saw a few people get stabbed. I saw people have, get their heads busted with bricks and stuff.
And what is your approach going in? Are you because you see in the movies, I don't know how much truth there is. Like you try to meet the right guy, or try to get in with the right group.
You just try to stay to your damn self,
really,
and survive.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't walk around looking afraid, but in your heart, in your mind, you're going, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah.
And how do I survive this? So it was a journey, man. I mean, I remember the first day I sat down at the wrong table, man. It was some gangbangers, and they let me know that this was their table.
Yeah.
So I had to get up and move, and you only get a certain amount of time to eat, right? So I moved to another table. It's another gang, and I had to get away from them, and I sat at another table, and those were the homosexuals, and they were very inviting, but I did not want to sit there.
You chose to leave that.
Right. So then there was this one table they invited me to sit down. It was like Christian criminals, right?
Okay.
And they converted their lives over to God. You know, okay, I can sit here.
All right, right.
And man, I sat there, and I won't say any names. You know, I don't know who's out. But man, I'm sitting there, and this guy goes, you know, he asked me where I'm from. I tell him I'm from Missouri. I'm from St. Louis. I said, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. He goes, yeah, me too. And he introduced himself, and he's a tall, older guy, really kind. And he said, you know, a lot of people won't tell you what they're in here for, but I'm guilty, you know, and I'm in here for killing my wife.
Oof.
Yeah, just like that, like I work for Google. That's not what you're saying, bro. Yeah, I killed my wife, like flat out. And I'm going, wow, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a wake up call. Like, this isn't boot camp. This isn't
this is the real thing.
Yeah, this isn't Boy Scouts. This is the real deal. I was in a level 5 penitentiary, man. And I was afraid, but I had to make an adjustment to where I can get through it. Mm-hmm. You know, so I made the best of it, man. And I didn't even realize I was writing jokes. I was mainly journaling at the time, just trying to keep my mind off of this place. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it was I was housed in one of the oldest penitentiaries in Missouri. They called it the Walls. And let me see, that's the unofficial name, you know, like the nickname for it, the Walls. Yeah. And I think it's called, the professional name is JCC, Jefferson City Correctional Center, or something like that. It's where the guy who allegedly assassinated Dr. Martin Luther King was locked up at.
Oh, really?
And he escaped by getting in a bread box in the truck, and the truck drove off or whatever. But yeah, man, I made the most of it. I forgot how old I was when I was there. I went through kind of like a midlife crisis, man. I was just, my mind just checked out. Yeah. You know, it was so scary, but I kept reading. I read a lot of books, and I mean, I was reading before I was incarcerated, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Right. I wasn't committed to comedy like I was now, like I am now. So I was just aimlessly kind of drifting as a high school grad, because I wasn't really thinking about going to college. Right. And that's how I got in trouble, because when you don't have a vision or a goal in mind, you're subject to do anything. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love comedy the way I do. Like, if there's anything more I can find out about comedy, whether it's being a ventriloquist or improv classes, anything, I'm like, ooh, comedy, because this stuff it helps people live. It's healing. We literally heal people. We're like doctors. And a lot of comics will never look at themselves like that, right?
I want to start telling my parents that. They always wanted me to be a doctor.
In essence, I am.
Arvin says I'm a doctor.
Arvin says
I'm a doctor.
Don't give him my number. I unofficially said we're doctors.
Don't come to me if you're actually sick, though.
Yeah. But that's the conversation that I've had over the years, man. It's I finished a comedy show, and the irony in this is, look, I pull up at a comedy show. The club owners were it's a nightclub with comedy night, and I'm hosting a weekly show on a Wednesday, comedy night. And the club owners, they were just being extremely rude, just kind of dismissing me, and I just got fed up with them. And I let them make me decide to stop doing comedy. Not I'm gonna stop doing this club. Like, I'm done with this stuff. Really? Because I was fresh in it, and I didn't know as much as I know now, to never give them that much power over me. So I said, I'm done. After this show, I'm done. I rocked that show with some friends of mine, and And this lady came up to me after the show and said she was contemplating suicide. And she said, you made me stop thinking about my problems while you were on stage. And I said, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I did. And that's why I said we're doctors. Like we are. Have you seen the movie with Robin Williams where he plays the doctor?
Yeah, Dr. Patch Adams.
Yeah. Patch Adams. And that's what we make people laugh. It's a healing thing.
Yeah.
I really want to start studying it because there's a science to you laughing, and like it helps people get through cancer battles and all kind of stuff. So yeah, man, we bring more to the world than just a hacky joke.
Right.
You know, so you should own that.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's a great way of looking at it too, because I think when you do what we do, and you can get so in your head and so down on yourself about what are you doing, where's it going, all the traveling, all the different, and you're out, you forget, that what you can do, and a story like that, my goodness, I mean, that's real tangible response. It's not just smiling faces. That's a real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that is nice to hear, and I think we probably don't realize how many lives that we touch. If you run into people and you just, you say, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of yours, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I had fans. Like,
Well, that's what that it does as much for me as it does for them when I do it, because my history, like with my mom and dad fighting like that, and then that connection, it kind of began right there. Like, this isn't just about impersonations and stuff. Like this humor is bringing people together.
Yeah.
So going back to when I was incarcerated, like this guy, when your parents die, I don't know if it's still this way, but when I was in there at that time, they send you home on a furlough to bury your parents.
Oh, really?
And I remember this guy named Black. And when I tell you, this dude was hard looking, and it wasn't because his skin was so black. Like, his skin was actually it was beautiful, but he was just he had a hard face.
Yeah.
And his mom died. And I didn't know his mom died until later, but he came over to my bunk and he said, don't go to the hole. Don't go to the hole. And before I could say anything back, he said it again, don't go to the hole. He used to watch me, him and a couple other inmates, they used to just watch me in amusement, because I would just do goofy things and they would just laugh. So they call that doing their time off of you. Like you would, whatever. Some people play checkers. Some people put puzzles together or write letters or draw, and they would watch me and do their time off me.
Really?
Yeah, man. And I ended up practicing impressions on them, and I mean,
really?
I made it fun. Yeah, really, man. I mean, it was still times in there where it was harder than other times, but it's like, damn, I might as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what's the hole though? Don't go to the hole.
The hole is a room it's about the size of a bathroom. And sometimes they'll put you in there with another person. You don't get outside recreation.
Oh, so if you get in trouble or something.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I would go to the hole often, man. I would do some of the dumbest stuff. And
really? What were you doing to get in trouble?
Ah, man. One of the things I did, you could carry a cup to the mess hall, like to go eat. You get your own personal cup that you can buy from the canteen, and you weren't supposed to carry liquids out of the mess hall.
Okay.
But they could tell if you were by the way you were holding the cup. Like if you was holding it upside down, obviously you weren't carrying any liquids in it. But I would hold mine from the top. Yeah. So I had just a little bit left in there, right? And it was like red Kool-Aid or orange juice or orange drink, and the white shirt, she was like a captain or something. Anybody wears a white shirt, they're very important. And she was just a mean heifer, right? So she goes, turn that cup upside down, Mitchell. So I take the cup by the bottom and I shake it at her and sprinkle all this juice on this lady's shirt. Take him to the hole! She lost it. Take him to the hole! Man, I think I spent...
But you knew, right?
I knew.
Yeah.
The hole is just another part of jail for me.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm still in jail. So, what else are you going to do to me? And they put me in there with this maniac, Julio. I remember him. And he used to wake up, man, and he just jump up and just punch me in the chest. Yeah, because Julio liked to fight, right? And he was like, I got all kind of stories. This dude punched me in the chest. Like, he wouldn't punch me in the face, but he was preparing himself because he was about to get transferred to another campus, and because he got in so much trouble, and he thought that hitting me and boxing me would get him ready for the next camp.
Training for the next.
Yeah, but we just boxing, dude. Boxing me won't do.
That's not gonna help.
This is just sparring at this point. Like, these guys have weapons and stuff like that, man. But yeah, I made it through 3 years and 3 months of that, man. And when I tell you, I was so glad to come home.
I can imagine,
dude. And been traveling the world since I've been doing it.
Well, that and first of all, thanks for sharing. It's a personal thing, and I appreciate you sharing it with me, because we were chatting about it the other day, and it's amazing to hear that kind of insight that you don't normally hear, especially as a comedian. We all have our own path, and we all have, like, stuff that we appreciate. Like, guys with day jobs that, like, oh, I can't believe I get to do comedy. I'll never do another day job. But that is a perspective of oh man, when you go from that to saying I get to tell jokes on stage now. Yeah. Did it propel you to want to do comedy more, and saying, gosh, I'm just curious what the mindset would be?
I wouldn't say just doing comedy alone is exciting. Okay. You know what I mean? But every morning I wake up, it's very seldom I forget to thank God for for opportunities are presented to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when I wake up, I just wake up and I smile and I look around and go, where am I now? And my dad was a Marine, and he was based in Alaska, learned how to ski in Alaska, and I've been to Alaska like 4 times. Like, I wouldn't have imagined laying in a cell in a penitentiary that I'd be in Cuba one day, or Africa, or Germany at the real Oktoberfest, and going to all these places and getting paid for it. So hell yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's I'm living a dream. Yeah. Of course I want to make it in movies and commercials, but if I stop right here, dude, I won. You know what I mean? Like, if I would have got sentenced to the time that they were trying to give me, and I didn't even do I'm not guilty for what they said I did on that level, I wouldn't be getting out until 2021. Man. So I just couldn't imagine it, you know? So, it's exciting, and it drives me. The thing that drives me even more so than the money or trying to reach the pinnacle of success is sharing my story with people who feel like they could be a has-been. Mm-hmm. I made this mistake in life, or I'm not the professor I wanted to be. Like, you've given up because you're 35. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So I went in at 19 years old, and I made it out, and I just, every day, man, I'm telling you, I haven't worked a regular job, and I can't remember the last time I worked a regular job. Yeah. Like, I'm telling jokes and getting paid for it and traveling, and I mean, whether I'm single or in a relationship, I'm meeting different people, whether it's just women or just nice guys like yourself. Like, dude, I'm living like a rock star. Yeah. And I'm eating for free. And drinking for cheap. And, like, come on. Like, I think about all the money we waste on things we don't even need. That's another thing that put things in perspective. I'm like, I made it 3 years without, of course I didn't need a car in a penitentiary, but just being a minimalist. And I started buying a lot of things I didn't need because I hadn't had them in so long. Yeah. But then I started consolidating things, and like, wow, I wore a uniform for 3 years, right? I had one radio, little Walkman, so why do I need an iPad, an iPhone, an iWatch, 3 pair of headphones, and this and that and that and this? And I'm like, all you need is somebody to love in your life. If you got your parents, and even if you lose one, God forbid, I just lost my dad in June, but God bless you. You got everything you need. And that's one of the things that traveling does for me, is put so many things in perspective. We go to these third world countries, or just places that they have way less than we do, and you go, we're spoiled. Yeah. When I see just people living their lives, whether I had went to the penitentiary or not, but just to see somebody smiling and not know what they're thinking, that brings me joy. And that's the same kind of joy I want to stir up and give to people when I'm on stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's an amazing. You've never thought of it that way, but man, that's so true, and you're so right. And I normally wrap these up by asking someone, what would they do if they could do anything in the world? But I think you're already doing what you want to be doing, aren't you?
It's mainly comedy, man. But I also sometimes I go to jails or alternative schools and high schools and just try to encourage these kids to not waste that time in that classroom joking around. Like, really focus and think about what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
Because the people you're around now, you can take them with you. You got a nice little circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I can encourage somebody to be more, you know what I mean, and not waste time, because nobody knows when it's going to be all over.
Yeah.
You might as well capitalize off of it. So, and that's what happened with my comedy. When my sister said I should do comedy, I was like, well, let me get out a notebook and then grab that journal that I've been writing in all this time, and some of these things I can see what happens.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Yeah.
And
well,
we still doing it.
We got this far.
Yeah. So
well, here's to many more of these success stories, many more levels. I hope I've loved working with you. And
thank you. Likewise.
Not only are you funny to watch, but you're just one of these guys that just, like you say, your smile, your presence in a room is just kind of elevates the room.
Thank you.
And where the comedy world is a funnier place because you're in it. So
thank you, man.
Well, thank you for stopping by.
No problem.
Let's go make some people laugh.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to Greetings from Somerville. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, and listen to all 3 of my stand-up comedy albums for free on Spotify, Pandora, and SiriusXM. I'm Michael Somerville. Have a great day.